Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. Once again, we got James.
How's it going?
And we got K-Max.
Happy to be here.
Fifth episode, we've got childhood. Childhood movies, it could be about childhood, it could be movies from our childhood, and both should be pretty interesting. We have kind of a age gap between myself and James, which is, what was that, 4 years? 3 years.
3 years? 3 years.
What year were you born?
85.
So a gap of like 10 years between me and James. No. So I was 88, he's 85, and K-Max...
72.
Yeah, so it should be a pretty interesting. See what we constitute as childhood. So this kind of flows right in from our previous episode with the Florida Project, because that was about childhood, I feel. With the Florida Project, we got to see from the child's perspective how they get through adult situations, or how they perceive them, or make light of whatever situation they're in, or is it kind of implanted on them and they do see the effects of those situations. I think we talked enough about that last episode, so we'll move on to what we think, the three movies we each want to discuss. 3-ish, heavy on the ish. So I think I went with James first last time, so we'll go with K-Max. Top 3-ish childhood movies. And again, this could be about childhood, or it could be movies from your childhood, or both. Some of them are both.
All right. Let's get this party started. Quickly, right? I'm a child. I'm way older than these guys, as the 1972 would lead you to believe. I'm going to start with Big. Directed by Penny Marshall, 1988. Tom Hanks as Josh Baskin, a 12-year-old boy who wants to be big. He then he gets his wish granted by this machine that's not plugged in. There's some supernatural ways he becomes big and enjoys the fruits of being big with childlike characteristics, being great for toy marketing and play and whatnot. He even gets the girl without getting the girl, I don't think. Maybe he did get the girl. It came close.
Yeah, it's... I don't know if you could make that movie nowadays.
Right, isn't that true? Probably not. I mean, I would, but I don't know if people would. So, he gets to be big, and by the end of it, upon feeling the weight of being big, chooses to be 12 again.
Good choice.
And I thought to myself, what's your reason? Oh, to be 12 again. To get to be young. It's like all of us, though. When you're young, can't wait till I'm a grown up. Man, I can't wait to. Oh man, I'm not going to have to listen to anyone anymore. And a spoiler alert for all you young kids out there listening to the podcast: 52. That's the age where you have enough money to do the fun things that you always wanted to do. But the bad news is this, kids, and I hate to ruin it for you: your body doesn't want to do those things anymore. You can't keep up with the people that you want to do them with. And this is not dirty as it sounds, but that's it. I mean, that's why I think it's great. It's
How old were you when you first saw Big?
Great question. I saw it when it first came out because I remember seeing it at the drive-in. So 72 plus 88 was that 16?
Okay.
16.
That's a nice, childhood. Just right there, seeing Big at the drive-in.
Yeah, right. And I saw it actually at Starlight Drive-In on Military Road, across from the Big Blue Whale. And talk about childhood right there.
The car wash was, right?
The car wash. I think you drove in the mouth and came out the anus. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
As one does.
You don't go the other way.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things about Big Moon. I didn't really break it down a whole lot. That's the kind of the fun thing about this assignment this week is kind of like, why does it feel you? And it also talks, it's like a little commentary about childhood, right? His buddy and him. And then even like his mom, like being just a mess, thinking, what happened to my son? I just thought, though, the playfulness of it, and Tom Hanks plays it perfectly, and then he wishes to be a kid again, then at the end he's a kid again, and I think that. And that's probably why that movie resonated so much without me even knowing it, is maybe we always wish we could always go home. Maybe we think to ourselves, someone when we're overwhelmed, just like last week when I thought, go to Magic Kingdom. Panic, let's get that payoff. Mm. You're in a stressful environment at work, and all of a sudden you're like, if I could just be 12 again. Let me go back to my parents' house and have the bills paid and my food made. And, sure, you're going to wrestle around and have some disrespect from older siblings and stuff, but you're carefree and you're young again. So I think that checks both boxes there for me. Mm-hmm. So big.
And I think with the, I feel like with all of our childhood movies, I just feel overall they're more simple. The message is clear, what they're trying to tell you. So with big, message, the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah.
With being older and being younger, appreciate your youth, and that time will come.
Yes.
I feel like the message is just, as a whole, a lot clearer in movies from that time frame.
Be where your feet are.
Yeah.
It's like, be where your feet are. That kind of leads me right into my my next one. Again, just I like this about this forum is that randomly I'll come back to something, or like I'll listen to yours and I'll come back to that, or so I'll reserve that right, because I'm going to go through these kind of fast because they're real simple little reasons why. And I think that almost kind of speaks to the topic too. Simple little reasons, like you said. A Christmas Story is my next film. Directed by Bob Clark, 1983, so 11 years old. Like, seriously, like, watched every year since, at least once, at Christmas time. And there's something to that. So 86 puts me at, 14? So 14, still kiddish. Certainly childish. I'm 52 and still fit the mold. Right? And follows the misadventures of a young boy and his family in the 1940s. Ralphie Parker, who's 9. So, everybody remembers what it was like to be 9-ish, 10-ish, 11-ish, I think. And awkward describes it, but also you see the world a lot differently, I think, at 9 or 10. I remember being 9 or 10 and having this sense of awe with things as you see them for the first time. And not quite to the part where your body's changing and all those things, but more you still think that everything's good. I think when I think of 9 or 10, it's like such a corrupted term now, but I think the term's like innocence lost. Your innocence isn't really lost yet at 9, or it shouldn't be. And I like that feeling of rewatching a holiday based on this iconic family in the 40s and being 9. So you would say maybe, in the 40s, there's some cultural things going on, World War II, but certainly, maybe not World War II, but certainly post-World War I, there's some things going on in the world. So there's some innocence lost, but there's still a simpler time. I think we'd all agree that it was a simpler time, maybe. And here's this little simple boy who wants his Red Ryder BB gun, and he's going to school and he's facing all the things that we face. And he's 9. He's got a little brother Randy. His hopes and dreams is full of bullies and fantasies and rebellion and discipline. Flawed yet loving parents. Middle class, working class, corny in their traditions, and yet it all works out. They love each other, and the corny in their traditions, that's what draws me to this movie, because it makes me remember my own childhood growing up super poor and never knowing it. Like just growing up, dirt floor in half the house, no running water, go out to the pump and get our water. we're getting farther and farther from that being a reality anywhere, and I'm glad about that. But that was a very regular thing on the reservation for a lot of families. And but I can remember it vividly. But I also remember with that poverty at 9 years old and 10 years old and whatnot, I remember getting to an age where we moved into. I remember when we moved out of there and we moved into this single wide trailer, and I'm like, we've made it, boy. We got our own room. Like, yes, four of us boys, but we had our own room, and it wasn't a hallway to the bathroom or to get to the girls' room. And so in that little single wide trailer is where I turned 14, and that's when I first saw A Christmas Story. And I remember laughing, thinking, well, we couldn't do that at the old house, like walking upstairs or walking downstairs. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, we still can't do that here in this little single wide trailer. We had like one step in the whole trailer. So I guess the fact that we had that poverty, and then, my parents finished their education and got really good jobs, and then we had kind of a lot. And so we moved to Ridge Road, and we had that house from similarly that, and we had a white person house kind of a thing, and we were so happy about that, and it was such a cool thing. And there was that movie again, and every time I watch it, I guess, and even when I watch it still, I still feel like good on those parents for making Christmas for those kids, and good on those parents for taking them to the mall and letting them go see Santa Claus, and good on those parents for being in contact with the school and holding them in company and washing their mouth off with soap if they had to, and warning them all the stuff we've been warned about. You shoot your eye out, and bundling up in the winter, even if you fall over and you can't get up again, you're getting bundled up so you're not going to get cold. And ultimately, good on those parents, and good on that film for making us feel like there was a time when those things mattered. And it's nostalgic for sure. And when people say it's like going back home, but no home that I've ever known. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that traditional home like that, but it always made me feel like home, And I guess that's why that film resonates with me. So that was a Christmas Story. All right, so in thinking about the third movie, it was my first choice right away, was Stand By Me. Again, it checks both boxes. I remember watching it when I was younger. 1986 again. Something about 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. I remember thinking it was going to be different because Stephen King, mm-hmm. wrote it. And thinking, all I know from Stephen King is horror and suspense and all that. But then I saw Rob Reiner was directing it, and I thought to myself, the line that gets me and makes me feel like me and my buddies. Now, again, I'm the youngest of 7, and the last 4 of us were brothers. And so I was the youngest of 4 brothers. If I try to relate too much to this, I'd be a total lying to you, because my experience wasn't growing up with a cool group of 4 guys and fitting any of these roles, because I was just a little add-on. I had to go with my brothers because they were forced to take me. And so I'd go, or if we'd skip school, I'd jump in and go with them. But I wasn't included in the hijinks. I was just the add-on that gave credibility that we were all at school. When I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get on the bus. No, you're not. Yeah, I got to go to school. None of us are going to school today. So it's like we have to keep our stories aligned so we'd all go. But, I imagined that my friendships would be this way, like these guys are. And I think in my adult world, in my real life adult world, I have groups of friends that would fit this better than I ever had when I was a kid. Present company included. And I love that, by the way. That is the biggest compliment I can give you guys or anybody that are friends now. Everything was there and around us. We knew exactly where we were. We knew exactly where we were going. Gordy says that. He says it early in the film. And there's not a lot of context there. But that's almost like a statement on youth right there. On being a child. It's right there. Your world, your known world is there and around you. You know where you're going. You know where you are. You know where you're headed. And it's like this feeling of almost invincibility. It's like, this is my little world. Nothing can penetrate it. No other world exists. And that's why we end up with families that we have idiosyncrasies, and not every family gets along because you only have your experience. And when someone acts differently, it's like, wait a minute, you guys do what? You guys don't eat that? You guys, what? You guys vacation where? And so Gordy, the narrator, just, he's got this huge amount of loss. It's a common thing, right? He's insecure. He feels invisible in his own home. And every kid, maybe, I think most kids feel that way, right? He feels invisible in his own home. And he's getting over, like, his brother was killed in a car accident. His brother was the golden child, and he's the add-on. And everything, I think if you're the seventh child of a family, you sometimes feel that way. My siblings would certainly protest, saying that I was the one that was treated better than all of them, and they wouldn't be wrong. Chris, River Phoenix, is as good as people remember him to be. River Phoenix would have been, in my estimation, one of the greats of our time. And cut off way too soon. In this role, you can see the chops he has even as a really young kid in his role as Chris. Teddy, Corey Feldman, you would think, you see him and you think of all the other roles that came after, but when you see him in this role, you're like, you just feel so bad for him. You're like, you poor kid. He's that abused kid, that kid that maybe smells a little bad, that kid looks a little weird, but we have in our friend groups, and we're like, we all kind of take care of him a little bit. Maybe that's even us sometimes. You take care of him, and you help lift him up, and you push him a little bit, and you're like, okay, he's part of our group, and we're going to take care of him. And then you have the chubby one. I guess I would relate a little bit to Vern. I remember when I learned it was Jerry O'Connell, and I'm like, he's this big, tall, handsome, successful guy. I'm like, I was literally happy for little Vern there. I'm like, you go. Good job, Vern. But like, I think of lines like, they're like looking out for Teddy. They're like, whatever's between you and your old man, he can't change that. We can't change that. And then the line, kids lose everything unless there's someone to look out for them. These are heavy themes in this Stephen King flick, The train and the tracks. We don't talk symbolism. I know we missed the bus on this, but the train and the tracks, man, if I was talking symbolism, I would probably bring this one back in and say, hey, let's take a look at this, because I watched it a couple times in the past couple days, and they show them, and they show different viewpoints from the tracks, sometimes looking up the tracks, sometimes looking back from the tracks. And the train, and the fact that the body that they're going to see was probably hit by the train, or, and they almost end up getting hit by the train. And I just think to myself, all the adventures. There's times when we did very darn reckless things as kids. I was just telling Vince Schiffert, we were cutting his hair the other day, and, Mike Burnett would shoot his compound bow as high in the air. Boom, we'd all lay on our backs in the middle of the field. We'd lose sight of it. And I'm not kidding. These are things, regular occurrences. Uh-huh. And then, boom, it'd land. And, whoa, we'd all laugh. That's death. That's death right there. That's not a spanking or the cops catching you. That's death.
Hey, we saw Vince the other day. He was looking sharp.
Yeah, good. He had a nice haircut. I hope he did. And then Chris saying this to Gordy, his best friend, near the end. I'm never going to get out of this town, am I, Gordy? And Gordy looking at him and saying, you can do anything you want, man. That's small town. That's Wilson. That's where I work. That's Tuscarora. And then sadly sometimes get limited by their own expectations of themselves, or what people expect of them, And so that line kind of stuck with me, and I thought, then when Will Wheaton's kind of reading the narration after, and then Chris's his character disappears when we learn that he was killed breaking up a fight, a couple of weeks ago. So it's like he was this noble, rough around the edges guy, and I guess that's kind of like what I hope I would be, like someone who was authentic and stood by, stood by his buddies like he did, his Stand By Me. That is almost a challenge. That movie, it's like there's a little bit of all four of those characters in all of us, I think. Or we feel that way sometimes. in a movie that made me feel that way. Like Corey said, it makes you remember childhood or kind of harkens you back to childhood. That's what that movie does every time I watch it. Because I see myself in all those characters at one point in time or another. Not so much the heroic ones. Definitely the other flawed ones. But sometimes I think that is like this. The line that as Gordy's typing his last line as a grown-up. And he's in this beautiful home. Which Chris told him, you need to go do something better. Which, by the way, I didn't realize, but was such a ripoff by Affleck and Damon. And the one where he goes, if you show up to work this time, whatever, I'm going to kick your ass, whatever. You know, if you're still here in so many years, I'm going to kick your ass myself. That's directly yanked from this, but it's a theme though, so you can't fault him for that. It's a theme. But I remember he said, you know, when Chris is telling the narrator, you have to go, you have to follow your dreams, you have to go there, you can't do the simple things that we're going to do. And then his last line in his book that he's writing, Stand By Me. I never had any friends like I had when I was 12. Jesus, does anyone? And that's how it ends. And I just thought, and he's in his beautiful home, and his kids are talking about, he's always writing your book, so we knew he followed his dreams. And so anyway, those are my 3.
Those are good.
Yeah,
those
thanks,
are really
man.
Well thought through. I feel bad because the 3 that I have are
Well, I think
just ridiculous.
well, going back to Stand By Me, you kind of see that repeated with It also, like almost the same type of group of friends
I
too.
got that one in there.
So it's pretty cool that like the
if that dead body came back to life and ushered them into their adulthood.
so, like you get kind of the same dynamic within the group because it's the same thing. Derry is a small town, and they're trying to grow up and escape.
Yeah.
Losers. Right?
And some of them can't. Some of them have to stay. So very, very similar themes and very similar characters too. Like they had the bigger kid also.
Oh yeah.
So, pretty interesting. It's funny to me that these aren't too far off from our age range here.
No, it's close. It's close enough.
Like
I could tell mine are like within that pocket, and then a couple years after.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
because I'll go to like a history lesson of the 3 of us, but when you mention childhood, it's 14, 15, 16, and we'll get to mine in a bit, but like mine are like 5 and 6 and before I'm 10 years old. And then like I definitely remember different movies for when I'm in my adolescence, from 12, 13, 14, 15, around there. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
Even our perceptions of when childhood is different. But James, hit me with your 3.
okay. So I have 7 honorable mentions. I couldn't choose. They're all like just movies that I watched constantly, and then maybe I didn't know why. And looking at putting them into a list, you're like, oh, that's why. So, that's what's wrong with you.
That's what's wrong with you.
So I'm like trying to throw like oddballs in there just to make me seem not a psycho, I guess. But none of them seem to be as deep or as interesting as the last as yours. With
They don't need to
meanings and themes.
That's
it's
just
just
saying
like
they
I
don't...
like seeing Chuck Norris kick people in the face.
Yes.
So Sidekicks, I'm going to go with first.
Sidekicks.
Sidekicks.
So this is Jonathan. What's his last name? Jonathan Brandon. I can't even think.
Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan Winters. I'm going to have to Google this one. Well, he died, and he's also in he was also like an honorable mention in Ladybugs. So this is Rodney Dangerfield. That's one of my honorable mentions.
That is a good one.
Yeah. What is this, a drag race?
Yes. that tie and.
But so Sidekicks is a story where a young kid bullied, and picked on, fantasizes about being in crazy action themed adventures with Chuck Norris and his character. And I remember thinking it was ridiculous, even as a kid, thinking that like, yeah, this kid's like kind of a tool. Like I thought there was something wrong with him. Like, yeah, man, there's something wrong. While you're in the middle of class, like fantasizing about, someone getting kidnapped and ninja fighting. Oh, you take off your ninja mask and it's you and Chuck Norris, huh? But I remember like just watching it over and over again, like thinking it was fun.
Yeah, heck
light and fun. Like it was just. Does he beat up all the kids in the end? Like, yeah, just like in Karate Kid, So Karate Kid might have been closer to your time.
Yeah, yep.
And it was just a little bit after that with a little more ridiculous.
I love it.
Fantasy and him being a loser like throughout the whole movie, like really an odd nerd that like you're like, oh man, there's definitely something wrong with this kid. He needs the real Chuck Norris in his life in order to conquer these. Which he does in the end. So, like, I remember throwing that one in there. The next one I'm going to go with, it's right along the same lines, too. It's, Last Action Hero.
Oh, I like that one.
And it's the first time I heard Megadeth. The one song comes on when they're showing the themes. The themes come in. I might make that one an honorable mention. I'm not sure. I
feel like that's James right there. Like
that's what it seems like, right? It's just like, let's go.
Schwarzenegger and Megadeth.
Crazy. Yeah, Schwarzenegger, Megadeth. Kid falls into a world where everything's nuts and wild and tries to get involved in the adventures of Jack Slater, a fictional character that Arnold Schwarzenegger's playing. And once again, it was a ridiculous movie, and I knew it as a kid that it was like I wasn't thinking that it was like this is Oscar stuff, like I never thought that it was winning awards, but I remember just he just shot the closet, and then there's always a ninja in the closet, it's just kind of like because there's always a bad guy in there, How much I spend on closet doors, there's always a bad guy in there. So like I remember laughing at those scenes, the kid being a goofball, the phrases that he uses as, I bet you're going to say, I'll be right back, or I'll be back. You're going to say, I'll be back. And he's like, that's what you always say. It's your catchphrase, and kind of poking fun at Arnold in the world of Hollywood, in the world of movies and stuff like that. And so bringing him into the real world and then him having to get hurt in car accidents. And I just remember thinking it was fun. It was a fun, crazy action movie, completely ridiculous. Danny DeVito plays a cartoon detective. What is he, a cat or something? He's a cartoon animal.
I don't remember.
Danny DeVito played the voice of a cartoon detective. And it was, I don't know, it was just a fun, ridiculous action movie. Arnold was a huge star, Arnold. I remember my aunt telling me this, years later after I said it, but she said, do you want guess who my favorite movie star is? And she's like, I don't know, who is it? He's like, what's the first letter? I was like, it starts with an R. And she couldn't guess, and it was because it was Arnold. So I must have been.
That was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Arnold.
This is nothing deep or meaningful. It was just fun lights and sounds flashing in my face. That's all I got so far. And I'll have to go with, let's see. The Never-Ending Story. So The Never-Ending Story was a movie that I would spend the night at my grandma's house. And it was me, my brothers, cousins Charles and Clifford, and sometimes another cousin from out of town that stayed, and we would all spend the night at my grandma's house. We had to have a code word because we weren't allowed to ask. They had to ask our parents in order to spend the night. We couldn't just outright go and ask them to spend the night. So we had a code word. We'd tell my grandma, and then she would ask our parents if we could all spend the night. And she'd take us to Video Factory.
Video Factory.
Yep, down to Video Factory because there wasn't a Blockbuster there yet. Like Video Factory's even less common. And get whatever food, whatever snacks we wanted, whatever drinks we wanted. We'd just make concoctions of pops and ice cream and whatever we wanted and watch movies. And that was one of the movies.
Perfect.
That was one of the movies we used to watch. And I think my aunt had Charles rent the movie one time, and he's like, "Oh, it's a good one." So we watched it, and we're like, "This is cool." It's like, Treyu's a native kid. That's cool, you know. We weren't sure if he was, but he looked good enough to be. So we always that was one of the movies we rented regularly. So as being a kids, you know, watching Neverending Story with snacks and drinks and staying up all night long, you know, at Grandma's house where. Grandpa's, as long as Grandpa was kind of asleep or away from us, we weren't getting yelled at. Grandma would just be like, "You guys gotta quiet down a little bit." But we got to do whatever we wanted to, and that was my youth is kind of wrapped up in a good chunk of that house. So we'll go with that. Never-ending Story.
And I feel like that's, I don't know. I feel like that's the only time that you can have movies really bind to you as a person. Is when you're living your best life as a little kid, no other worries, and you don't have to worry about, like, even if you did grow up in poverty, you didn't perceive it as that.
Right, that's right.
And you're just growing up, and you know you're just having fun. You don't have any grown up worries, you know, like bills or work or anything. Even school, as you go hang out with your friends, you know, especially elementary school, you run around, you have lunch, and you know, whatever. So I feel like that's the only time where the movies can really bind to you, because that's when you watch them is with your loved ones, with friends, and you're doing things all together. And especially with our childhood, I'm lumping all of us together because we had the opportunity to go to places like Video Factory or Blockbuster and pick out the movie. And that was the event for that night or that weekend, was watching that movie, and maybe a few times, and like you said, getting your favorite snacks and stuff. So I feel it's very hard to create those same feelings as an adult.
Yes, I agree. Huge.
We all have kids too, so I wanted to spring this one on you guys. Is what do you notice about your kids and the movies that they watched, you know, when they were little ones? Were they kind of the same ones, or did you kind of watch over what they were seeing and try to replicate your own childhood on there, or was it whatever they picked, that's what they got to watch?
It's a good question. I think raising our kids very similarly to you guys, Disney was just a default, a wonderful default for us, because we had Disney Channel, and we'd go to Disney since they were real little kids, and so it was real natural for them to like to watch shows on the Disney Channel, and sometimes they would have movies on like Disney HD or one of those stations, and or a commercial for a movie coming up, or a commercial for like a series of movies being released, Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid. We watched Disney movies. When you talk about childhood, Benjamin's in the middle of the time when I view my childhood, and now he's a grown man. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't think of having a girlfriend that age or anything like that, and we're doing the things he does or go to the places he goes, and I was still very much a kid at that age, and he's kind of forced to grow up a little earlier now. Folks are
right,
and so I think of the stuff that he watches now, and man, we have family movie nights still, and that's the only time that he will watch a movie. Otherwise, he watches clips. He won't even watch a full TV show. He watches clips of the best parts of them. He thinks little clips of funny things over and over. That's what he watches constantly. To get him to sit and watch a movie is hard to do. Annalise she likes to stream shows. Doesn't really watch movies because they're just too long. Movies are just too long. The only time they watch movies is on family movie nights. If Mom and I get them to sit down and we're making popcorn or we're making s'mores and we're giving any soda you want to drink, and we try to replicate what you were talking about, James. Is we turn the lights off and we put a movie on and we all sit there the whole time and no phones out, and I think it's important. And I don't even know if it's important to just kind of hold on to that part of something that was precious to us, but it's important because we want them to know that we're a family and we like to do some stuff together sometimes. You know, And it's funny what Corey says though. It's hard to figure out what they're watching. I watched it like a hawk when they were little kids, and now pretty much I let them watch anything they want, and I wouldn't even see it because they're streaming it on their phones when they're watching it now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got I had the privilege of being just as poor as you were for a good window in my of my adulthood. I actually got poorer as I got. So in the midst of building my house, we couldn't stand living with the in-laws anymore. So I came home from working at the factory for a 12-hour shift to my wife being like, "We're sick of them. We're going." I'm like, "We're moving in." House had no insulation, no drywall, no water. We had a big tank in the back that we would just fill up with a bucket to dump in the back of the toilet so you could flush it. And we had I don't know how big is that, maybe like a 14-inch TV that came with a cassette and DVD tray combo. The beds we slept in one bedroom. It was in the upper corner away from the sun that we could heat because it was insanely hot in the middle of the day and then freezing cold at night. So there's no insulation. So whatever temperature was outside, that's what this room was. So we insulated one room, and there we had futon mattresses as beds. So there were just 2 or 3 futon mattresses pushed together. We all slept in one room. We had hit duck at the time, so there's 5 of us total living in this one bedroom, and we just had DVDs. They were not HD or Blu-ray yet. They were just regular DVDs. We still had cassette tapes even, but the girls would sit and watch a Disney movie from beginning to end. Cinderella. My oldest Krissa would sit and watch Cinderella straight through, and then it was like a Swan Princess movie. There was something else, but they would sit for all of that. When they got a little bit older and their movies started coming out, like Kung Fu Panda, The Incredibles, I loved those movies, watching them as an adult. Yeah. And so I'm like, we're all going to watch The Incredibles. And they're like, yeah, like, they enjoyed it. So those are like the movies I thought as an adult, it's a good movie. They're well-rounded, good movies with good characters, with evil and good, and they're good coming out in the end. Like, I'm like, this is a solid story. Like, The Incredibles is just a good movie. Megamind is such a good movie. Kung Fu Panda, it's a fun, good movie. And that's what I watched with the kids growing up. I noticed my oldest one, who had no devices until she was older, she reads all the time. That's like her thing. She reads books constantly. My daughter, the next daughter, she watches scary movies. Like movies that I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I watched like 10 scary movies like my whole life. They've been pretty good.
That's right. So, they started off with 3, didn't you? Tremors and...
but those aren't like scary. They were scary for me. They were really scary for me. But like, but that's like all she watches. Is her and her friends would watch like scary movies. I'm like, aren't you get freaked out? They're like, yeah, we're always freaked out. Like, they just love it though. They just love it. I'm like,
we're always paranoid.
Yeah. I was like,
that's my secret.
Yeah, that's my secret. I'm just always paranoid. And then the boys, we tried to watch. That was the thing we did though. I would go out to movie night because I have, there's 7 of us in the house. We don't all fit on the couch anymore.
Oh yeah.
So I got to like set up these little beds. We used to get them for Christmas. Was like little fold out, Ninja Turtle couches. Those little folding couches. So we'd set those up, and we would have family movie night too. As a family, we're like those types of movies. Those like little more adult Disney-ish movies. The last one the last one we did watch as a family actually was Puss in Boots, the Last Wish one. It was really good. It was a good movie. Just a good movie across the board, I thought. And the older one's in college. The other one was, off with her friends. But it was the boys only. So my younger 3 are boys. So that's what we got to watch together.
That's awesome.
But they, not too many movies. I tried to go back to my childhood and go, guys, watch this movie. Because I feel like they're all like, yeah, okay, whatever. But if it's like... if they're interested in a movie that's coming out now, yeah, we'll all sit and watch it. Yeah, we'll do it together. And that was one thing we always did, though, is we all go to the movies constantly. We love going to the movies. Because Regal used to be at the theater right down the road, a little ways down the road. but I had so many gift cards. They went out of business. I still have like $100 worth of Regal that I can't use. But
shameless plug for Walden Galleria, where you could use them.
I could still go there.
That's true.
That's a
That's
hike.
true. Shameless.
But that was one movie, or that was a set of movies that we all went. Was I would take the kids out of school to go. I think I said it before on the podcast, but I would take the kids out of school.
Yeah.
To go see Marvel movies. So we all went to. Took them out of every one of us. We had to be 7 of us. I'd be paying out the ass for tickets to go. Everyone's going to go see this Marvel movie together. A matinee showing, so we get a little bit of discount. But I was always snacks, guys. Whatever you guys want. We're skipping school and we're going.
It's an event, man. I remember with the Star Wars movies, we would do that for like, I think maybe either Joni's birthday or something like that, or they would come out in December before Christmas, the newer ones.
Right.
And so every year we'd look forward to that movie, and we'd go to the movies, and we try to get the earliest setting that we could, and tell everybody, brag, we got them we got them for the night before at 10 o'clock, It's not out till then. No, it was out. We are all going,
Yep.
So anyway, that's Star Wars ones are big ones too.
So with my kids, much like yours, K-Max, with the Disney, except we didn't have, I guess we still don't, we don't have like cable per se, and I didn't grow up with it, so the way that we did it was just VHS movies. So I guess I'm going to kind of intertwine my childhood with movies with my kids in the same conversation here. So growing up, a lot of VHS movies, and especially with myself, there was the main TV, which, whatever my parents are watching, that's what we're watching. And then there is the old TV in the basement. And so I would always find myself downstairs putting in a VHS movie, playing with toys. Kyle was somewhere, I don't know. That's my younger brother. As I think back on the memories of like playing with toys and watching movies in the basement, like I don't remember where he is during all this time.
Holding the TV up like doesn't say anything. Higher.
I think that's an older sibling thing where it's like, where's your younger kid? Where's your younger siblings? I don't know. That's not my job. I feel like when you're the younger sibling, you kind of know where all the older ones are.
Yep.
And so how to stay away from them.
Yeah, you're right.
They're going to make me do stuff.
But it was a lot of Disney VHS movies growing up, and then there's a lot of Indiana Jones, Star Wars. So a big one was Return of the Jedi, Last Crusade, Jungle Book being a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Pan, Pinocchio. Those last 2 are going to be part of my 3.
Okay.
But Fievel Goes West, I know beforehand James had mentioned that, and that's... it was tough for me to actually go in and find 3 movies because I still watch them periodically as an adult, even without the kids. Like I'll put on, like I went and found Fievel Goes West on DVD just so I could rewatch it. Or like
it holds up.
I like it. What's the actor's name? The guy that plays the big cat. It's a famous name.
I know, I can't.
Dom DeLuise?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's what plays it?
Yeah. So there's like little lines like, like he puffs up his chest, right? And he's trying to walk and the air lets out and he kind of flies around like a balloon. And like he finally lands, he's just like, I hurt myself. Just like the little things like are still funny to me.
Dom DeLuise.
Yeah. Land Before Time was a big one. That kind of segues into the 3rd movie that I'll discuss in a little bit, but that's Jurassic Park. And we got a whole history with Jurassic Park. But Fantasia, I don't think... I feel like I watched that one maybe second most when I was a kid. And it wasn't just... It was like, if I want a movie on as background filler... that I didn't have to pay attention to or didn't like certain parts. It was just music and images put together. Goofy movie, was borderline on my list because I had a huge crush on the girl in that one. But like K-Max, I almost put on some Christmas movies on there. Muppets Christmas Carol is a big one.
Oh,
That's a good one. That's a classic.
Goonies is that was borderline on my list.
oh, it's.
There's a
I
lot
feel
of honorable
sheepish.
mentions in here.
I feel bad about missing that one. Again, this is not a competition or darts, but I feel bad missing that one. That was so good.
Yeah, Goonies. I mean, just like the adventure, of a group of friends tends to be a pretty solid pick for childhood movie.
I didn't see Goonies until I was way older.
Really?
And I remember thinking it was good.
Yeah.
But I think I passed that window of
Yep,
connecting to it.
I understand. I understand.
Lost Boys was in my, what's it
I-
called?
oh,
That's
Lost
another
Boys.
Corey Feldman, you know?
And Corey
Haim?
Haim.
Oh, was he in that? Yeah. Oh, man. The Corys.
By the
Those
way,
Corys.
Kiefer Sutherland's such a jerk in Stand By Me. Sorry. Such a tool in a lot of movies.
It wasn't until 24 that he became a good guy.
And then Designated Survivor, he got a little soft.
I'll dive into my top three then. So Pinocchio, 1940 from Disney. It was. I'm going to say all three of them are. I guess they, as best a movie could, return me back to my childhood. Like I said, that it was hard for me to narrow down three because I revisit them so often that I get a new perception of that movie as I go along, especially Jurassic Park, but we'll go through that later. So with Pinocchio, it's about this puppet becoming a real boy, and the tests that he goes through and the lessons that he learns, truthfulness, hard work. Every single scene of that movie, every single chapter is Pinocchio learning a new lesson and having a conscience to kind of try to guide him correctly.
The punishments of a hedonistic lifestyle.
Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island. Pleasure Island jackasses.
Is that... We got a new name for the podcast.
At very least a new name for your trivia team.
That's perfect.
So bookmark that one,
Yep.
James.
Pleasure Island jackasses. That's good. That's good stuff.
Oh, but as a kid, it's almost a tough watch too because you're becoming aware of these bad things that happen to Pinocchio if he doesn't listen. And as a boy, that's like all childhood is learning what gets you in trouble and to stay away from it. And so, like, you're seeing this boy get in trouble, you're like, oh, no, I don't like that. Like, he smokes or whatever and turns green. It's like, oh, no.
Only till I get older did I realize that I had a cigar at someone's bonfire.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never smoked a cigar before. Smoked the whole thing and just go, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up and everything. This is what he means by turning green. I know exactly what he means now. Pinocchio is right.
Pinocchio, darn you, Pinocchio.
And, I mean, I feel like Pinocchio is also, when you rewatch it as an adult, when was the last time that you guys have seen it?
Over 20 years ago.
I watched a Jordan Peterson breakdown and review it over like a 10-hour lecture last year.
Did you watch the movie itself?
It breaks you watch it in clips, like it breaks it down.
Okay.
Like, but straight through as a movie, like just sitting down and watching the movie straight through, maybe 10 years.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty recent.
Yeah, one of the kids were wanting to watch it, and I was like, really? This is one you want to watch? It's going to be weird.
But I
We'll
feel
ride
like
it out.
that's another one that could have been in the yummy payoff category as well. With him finally learning how to be a boy and Geppetto getting the boy he always wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Pan, 1953, also Disney. Again, about about growing up, about learning how to take on responsibility. And, you know, in this movie, it breaks it down like, here's a land that you could go to where you never grow up, but it's always in turmoil. You're always fighting against the pirates, against the adults.
Against the Indians.
Sometimes. Sometimes they win.
Then you're Mooney's mom.
Sometimes we win.
Now you're Mooney's mom, stuck in Neverland.
And so it's where conflict never gets resolved, and there's always that battle literally against growing up.
Against the clock.
So, yeah, so a lot of other stuff you could dive into with that movie. You know, you can watch as an adult and figure things out. That land that she could go to and figure out why you can't just be a kid all the time. And then, you know, she's able to come back to like her regular life and put together, you know, okay, you know, I can still grow up and I can still be a kid. I can still have fun. It's just going to be balanced with getting these responsibilities. So if that's not about childhood and growing up, I don't know what is.
Yeah, seriously.
Skipping ahead a few chapters here, but keeping in this arc of, you know, we went from Yummy Payoff with Florida Project that goes into childhood. After we watch the childhood movie, you know, that flows into fatherhood. And so this is just a little preview here, but the fatherhood movie, well, there's going to be a couple of them, but Hook with Robin Williams, another Peter Pan offshoot, I guess. Very interesting watching it as a father compared to watching it as a kid.
Oh, wow.
Now, that is one movie I have not seen in 15 years.
So I haven't watched Peter
years.
Pan in a couple years now, but I'd like to dive into that as an adult and just sit through it and kind of see how that hits me. See, you know, because I think that one is pretty much strictly through a kid's point of view, because all of the adults are villains.
Yeah,
Captain Hook's the bad guy. Their actual dad, he's not a bad guy, but you know, he's not the fun guy. So I'd like to dive into Peter Pan again just to see, you know, if it makes me feel any different being a dad watching it.
Those older Disney movies feel like they have like a second layer and then like a third layer just of depth and meaning behind them.
Well, they're based on a lot of like existing stories or existing fairy tales and all that, which, you know, a lot of fairy tales are meant to teach you virtues and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, they have lessons learned just by
they have like lessons
themselves.
for you when you watch it as a 10-year-old. They have lessons
Right.
for you watch it as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And we're like in our 40s being like, oh, that's what they mean by that. Like,
Same.
And so I get to Jurassic Park. So Jurassic Park came out in 1993. That would make me 5 years old.
I've been looking forward to this.
And
I'm going to shut off my mic and just listen for a bit.
So I think it came out in April of 93, I think. And so I would have been just turning 5. It's my first memory of being at a theater watching a movie. So like, I still remember being in the theater when the T-Rex escapes its paddock and attacks them. Apparently this stuck with me pretty well because I got in trouble at school for some of the drawings that I would be doing. There'd be limbs and blood. And for a first grader, they probably shouldn't be drawing that. So my parents were called in, you know, have a talk about why their son is drawing bloody limbs.
Oh my gosh.
But then I have distinct memories of second grade having like the older sixth graders coming down to read us books. And I would always pick Jurassic Park to try and have the older kids read to us. That's a full year right there. And then when I talked to you about playing in the basement, 9 times out of 10, I'm remembering playing with my Jurassic Park dinosaur toys. And it had the compound where part of it would get destroyed, make it look like a T-Rex attacked it. It had like the red colored main T-Rex, and it had the fence that could connect to each other. You had the Triceratops. You had the figurines that looked nothing like who they're supposed to look like, except for Ian Malcolm. He was spot on. But if I had to pick one movie from my childhood that has stayed with me, it's Jurassic Park, and I've probably seen this movie, I don't know how many hundreds of times, and I could probably recite all of it, and it doesn't get old to me. And I've watched it as recently as 2 weeks ago. But there's things I pick up on it. More symbolism that you'd think from colors, with Alan Grant wearing blue and Ellie wearing like the pinkish, very on the nose male and female distinction, as well as the dinosaurs. They make sure they tell you that it's only females on the island. I feel like it has to do with a lot of like parenthood, because you have Alan Grant as like the father figure, and how he's unwilling to at first raise these children, and by the end he's raising them without any problem.
Oh, interesting. I always thought it was weird. Dinosaurs eat man. Woman inherits the earth. Like that line in there was like, it's an odd line in there.
And little tricks. There's the scene where the Velociraptor, they take him to that part of the park, and they watch the raptors tear apart a cow, right? What I noticed watching it as an adult is that the scene directly after that, they're at lunch, and none of them are actively eating. So to me, you had that juxtaposition of the raptors ravenously tearing apart this cow.
It's where they lower it into the enclosure and it just comes up just mangled pieces. Okay, I remember that scene. Yeah.
So right after that, they all go to lunch, and it's supposed to be like Chilean sea bass.
Yeah, that's right.
And Ellie's like, I can't eat, and like, no one is touching their plate of food. So to me, the reason, you have the dinosaurs firmly established as the predators, because you might think throughout this movie, it's like, oh, we created them, we own them, we were above them in the food chain. But what that scene does is it says, here's how dangerous the raptors are. And now I'm going to show you a scene right after that where all the people that you think would be able to control them aren't eating. So it makes that differentiation that they're not the predators. And then we don't see them eating again until later on in the movie, when the tides have kind of turned and they got the power back on.
Okay,
so like subliminally, you might be thinking,
dive into the food after they make it back in. Yeah.
So subliminally, you might be thinking, you might be feeling like you're getting the control back. You're becoming like the top like predator or whatever.
Okay.
And then,
now these ideas didn't show up. You didn't notice these until
your 100th. Like I said, not until I'm an adult. And then like on the nose stuff too, like the two female ends of the seatbelt that don't connect in the very beginning.
I don't remember that.
They're first arriving via helicopter, right? And as they're lowering, they're like, put on your seatbelts, and Grant's don't mix because they're two female ends.
Huh. Oh, that's so weird. I never noticed
that either.
So then he's got to tie them together.
Okay,
to
yeah,
make
I do
shift.
remember that. I do remember him tying them,
But that's also like kind of like, well, that's how they had to do it for the dinosaurs also. Female ends and life found a way.
Yeah.
That's why I said, a lot of the movies, you get a new perception as you watch them older in life. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. I found it harder for me to regain that nostalgia for some of the movies because I would rewatch them so
You've
much.
Unlocked
get
so many doors.
Get different levels.
It's hard
off
to make
of it.
the hallway again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Huh.
And so for my kids, it's interesting because, I'm not trying to force them to watch certain things, but you have things like the Disney app that's for their age the safest for them to allow to explore it and find things that they want to watch without me being too controlling about it. But the things that they're just naturally drawn to are Land Before Time they watched, and then Jurassic Park was a huge one where, I mean, the first time they watched it was younger than when I watched Jurassic Park. You know, it's been a year or two at this point, so that would have been what, 2 and 4.
Yeah.
So, maybe a little younger than they should have, but you know, we fast forward through the certain, you know, certain lawyers being lifted off the toilet and certain computer engineers' arms falling from crevices.
Being left on people's shoulders.
So they've seen like the rest of the movie though. So more so like just the dinosaurs and chase scenes and all that. And they're drawn to that type of movie. So I don't know how much of it is me governing what they watch and say, hey, I watched this as a kid, come watch it. And how much of it is just naturally like they're entertaining. You inherit the same interest. Yeah. Because they would go over to my parents' house, and in the basement there's all my Jurassic Park toys, and 75% of them have made their way over to our house. And these toys are from back then, so like, you know, 93, mid 90s. So they're about 30 years old, still functional. So I don't know, it's just crazy to me that it's almost like they inherited the same interests, and I'm doing some self-reflecting to make sure I'm not the one being like, you like this, don't you? You know?
Well, I mean, when they're by themselves Googling, show me all of the dinosaurs, please.
Yeah. I'll tell that story really quick.
Yeah.
So I think my daughter was, this had to be about a year ago, maybe. She was 3 or 4. And I just started to let her browse things with the Apple TV remote. And so she would go to YouTube and search things, and a lot of mindless things, you know. And so I have to go through the search history, and you know, it gives you the exact verbiage that you use. So the line that stood out was, show me all of the dinosaurs, please. Just asking YouTube politely to show her all of the dinosaurs.
So polite.
Yeah, please. So it's interesting to me that's, I hope it's not me being too controlling about it, but I mean, that's the things that they're drawn to. Oh, Air Bud is another one.
Air Bud. I've never seen Air Bud.
Where the golden retriever plays basketball, and then he plays whatever other sport.
He plays a bunch of other ones, yeah.
But that was what I watched as a kid, and I wasn't like too drawn to it because I never had that connection about having like a family dog. But they have that. You know, if they could pick up a dog, they would. And so like the Air Bud and the Buddies movies, you know, like Snow Buddies and all that, they're all about that. So I think they have more of a diverse interests of movies and entertainment than I did when I was their age.
We had a Homeward Bound. That one had dogs in it.
They like that one too.
Bound. Is it really? That was Michael J. Fox.
It's really good. I like that.
Remember his name was Chance. That's all I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was when growing up that we'd rent.
Yep.
We never owned it. I would just rent it all the time. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. That was a big one. That was all Sterling wanted to watch for a summer. And so he brought it. We visited my in-laws, and their kids are a couple years older than ours. They got more kids And so the older one, was he like 8 maybe? And then the younger ones kind of overlap with our kids. But, they're adamant they want to watch Power Rangers with their cousins, and I don't know if it went over so well. Because, it's from the 90s, so it's super outdated with the effects and all that. Another one I remember we rented at first, but I had to own it, was Gremlins 2.
Oh.
Not the first one was from my childhood, because it was the first movie I could remember how to work a VCR.
If I'm not mistaken, it's one of your favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, what do you feel about that? Being a Christmas
I'm fine
movie.
with it. I'm fine.
I'm
fine.
This will be a firecracker episode when we discuss what constitutes a Christmas movie. But I have said my piece on Gremlins as a Christmas movie. But it was one of the first movies I remember, or it was the first movie I knew I could work the VCR. Was able to push it in. The VCR was at the top of the TV in the living room. And then I remember it got to the point where they're turning into gremlins. I remember hiding behind my couch.
Sure.
You put in the movie yourself and still hid.
Yeah.
That's small enough for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense to me. That makes perfect logical sense to me.
That's so cool.
But then the second one was just so zany compared to the first one.
Right.
And so that's the one I ended up watching more as a kid.
That one introduced me to Slayer, to be honest.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
with
there's
the
Angel of Death and
the spider gremlin?
yeah. That's that breakdown from Angel of Death.
Yep.
It's in that movie.
And then I got Gremlins 2 as an adult, and they had changed. There's a specific scene there where the gremlins like mess up the TV, and so it's just a collection of unrelated things to the story, where it's like they took over your TV. And so there's 2 versions of this. There's a theatrical where they took over the theater, and so Hulk Hogan is in the audience yelling at the gremlins to get their stuff together and put on the movie for all the hard-earning moviegoers.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one, which I think is superior, is they go through different like vignettes of movies, and they're fighting John Wayne in a Western.
Yes.
And then that goes to like static, and then the gremlins are making like finger puppets on the screen.
Like shadow things.
Yeah, so that was like one of my favorite parts. Like the gremlins like Duke. Yeah. So it was like one of my favorite parts. And getting the movie as an adult, they reverted back to the Hulk Hogan one, and I was slightly disappointed that I couldn't amping up to see like that scene I hadn't seen in years, and it was the Hulk Hogan one.
Can you still get the other? Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's like an alternate. It might be like an alternate scenes
I
type
see.
of thing.
Yeah.
But I just wish that it played through, as is.
That's awesome.
It's such a weird, like, I don't know, would it be like a fourth wall break? You're talking to the audience, it's like the fourth wall looking back and then looking back again. It's such a weird. I like that movie too. That was a fun movie.
Fun.
It's very fun.
Yeah, yep.
And I think it's, I don't know, I feel like it was misunderstood. Because it was like, well, that didn't feel anything like the first one.
I saw the second one before I saw the first one. So that I watched the second one, and I'm like, I wonder what the first one's like. And I was like, oh, this one feels more real compared to that one. But, like, I wasn't disappointed. But I also, I saw them in reverse order. So
More Phoebe Cates.
more Phoebe Cates.
It's always a good thing.
That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Another underrated one, Mouse Hunt.
Mouse Hunt.
Nathan Lane.
Could also, there's enough to it to argue that it's a Christmas movie also. But that's a little foreshadowing for our Christmas episode in a few months.
We'll be coming to blows over that one. Yeah, look at that face. I can see it already.
I'm
Disapproval.
Christmas.
Disapproval.
Christmas needs no protection, and yet I'm here. Yet I'm here anyway. I'm here anyway.
I already see myself as a moderator between good and evil.
For our audience out there, he pointed good at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll save that one for Christmas
That'd be
time.
a December podcast.
That'd be fun.
But any other thoughts or any other movies come to mind?
There's so many good movies that we went over that I haven't seen since I was a kid, and I like a couple of them were.
Oh yeah, that was
Fern
what I wanted
Gully
to
and-
bring up is that it was like why were we only drawn to those movies as kids and then put them on the shelf after that? Like it's so weird to me that it's like we could watch it religiously and then all of a sudden it's like nope, I'm grown past it.
I don't know. I know that I had movies on cassette, and then once I got more movies, I've seen that one 1,000 times. I watched Fern Gully 100 times and would sing the songs with. Because I think that's Tim Curry that actually plays the Hexus smoke monster thing, and I don't know. I just grew out of it, saw it so many times, and then I don't see it anywhere. It's not on because I still have satellite, and I watch majority of my TV on satellite.
That was one of the movies I sought out and bought on DVD.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh. But that's one I just haven't came across. It just hasn't been, it's not featured on Netflix anywhere. It's not, they made more It 2. They made more movies with It, and, you watched the old one with Tim Curry. He's still freaky as heck, but it's not as, there's not
Right.
millions and millions of dollars sunk into it. to
Right,
make
like
this movie. It's
even-
a made-for-TV movie.
Even though we grew up in quotes with it,
Being
with
in
Tim Curry.
being two cassette tapes to watch.
Yeah, it would still be like, oh, let's put in it. We're still going to refer to the newer one,
Right.
When we say that.
Yeah.
I like all the Star Wars, the original 3. I was pretty young watching that. I remember seeing the first one, being a punk kid at Starlight Drive-In on Julie and Rusty's first date.
You were at Julie and Rusty's. You were
There-
at Julie and Rusty's first.
I was there and I threw up all over it. I had a bucket of popcorn in the back. I was in the single digits, I think. I must have been. It was in the 70s, right? When The New Hope came out.
78?
Yeah, I must have been. I must have been 6 or 7 years old crashing the date, and I think that's the only way that my mom would let Julie go with Rusty. And so I went and I sat in the back with a big bucket. I mean, I just remember Rusty probably buying me a bunch of stuff, hoping I'd get her into Sugar Shock, because I had every candy and pop I could dream of in a big bucket of popcorn. I got so sick.
77.
77, yeah, like 5, 6 years old, and seriously watching it, and being like, "Oh, this is great! This is great!" Then I remember throwing up not in the back seat, but in the front seat because I went to tell them I was sick.
Hey guys,
Yeah. And I just remember, and Rusty at 50 years later, 45 years later, still reminds me of that. Remember when you put the blank block on me?
You make my move and you shut me
Yeah,
down.
that's it. I said, yes. Rejected by the hidden popcorn. Yeah, no, those are good. But movies as kids, man, all the Indiana Jones ones were just a good time, a lot of fun. Reminds me of being a kid. Goonies, I can't believe that one. That was so good on checking both levels. The one that is about like childhood and reminds me
came
of
out during our
childhood.
childhood, yeah.
Yeah.
And I see some of the movies today though that are like kid movies, and they just don't have the same. I mean, obviously we're watching them as an adult, so we're not going to feel the same about them, but they don't have the same feel. Like they're not like the simplest movies. I mean, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know, scientist dad makes a machine, shrinks the kids. They gotta battle through the lawn to get back to the machine to get them big. Simple. But like the heart was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's more
See,
heart.
And I feel like today's
feels
movies
like-
are a lot of plot and a lot of story to get through to understand, you know, what's going on in the movie compared to like our childhood movies that were, like I said, very simple in the story.
I've always felt that, and I might be way wrong, but I've always felt that there's so much more cynicism and sarcasm in society these days. And so to make some of the movies with the heart of innocence, you'd be panned as being naive and all this fairy tale story. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is naive and fairy tale. It is for kids. And, you know, kids younger and younger and younger are being forced to grow up and accept things and understand things that they're not ready to understand, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm the crazy person saying that, and society saying they're ready for it.
Right.
Whether or not they're going to get it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still thinking, yeah, 14 and 15, you're still a kid. You're still a child growing up. Because I was.
I mean, there's Disney movies that are released nowadays where I have to watch it before the kids to make
That's
sure
right.
that they're not picking up on stuff that they're not ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so weird compared to, you know,
Yeah.
when we were kids,
Oh, yeah.
we were watching rated R movies and Predator and whatever. Especially Predator 2.
Yeah. Oh man. My dad must have had a buddy at work that would record movies on HBO because you could just throw a cassette tape in and record whatever was playing on TV.
Yeah.
So he would record 2 movies and sell them to my dad.
Nice.
Must have been on the job site because my dad was a roofer at the time. And so we had a ton of movies with just 2 titles on it because he recorded 2 movies in a row. And it was Predator 2 was on there and Terminator, and that's where I got to see all my
Gosh,
action,
I have the
killer
absolute,
action movies.
I have the absolute best movie about your dad's VHS.
Oh, I heard it.
I
I've
will
heard
not share it on this podcast. That's a whole other story altogether.
Did he get you guys in trouble or something?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I regret my decision to say anything.
Hold on. I remember this story.
No. I can never look him in the eye ever again. Ever again. He's one of my best friends, and I cannot look him in the eye. I just saw him at your daughter's grad party. Jimmy? Christopher?
Mr. Bissell.
He just looked at me and said, sinner? That's not true, but I know he was thinking it. Why is the VCR on? I don't
I
know.
don't know. Were you just staring at a blank TV? Is that what it was?
Beg you to stop.
That's odd. Just staring at a blank TV.
That's weird.
VCR's on.
Weird
TV's
stuff.
on.
Next week,
So if I turn this to channel 3, nothing will be on, right?
hello and welcome to
Moving on to episode 6.
That's the same grandma's house that my childhood was solidified and is now
Sullied.
Sullied.
It's no longer unsullied.
it was sullied long before I got there.
You could pick out the exact chair that you thought was so
It was
pure.
the family
Thought it
television.
was safe. It was not.
Family television.
The family VCR.
The family VCR.
The
That's
family
what
rug.
you watch the Sound of Music on that.
The blanket that you cuddled up with.
It was soft.
It wasn't when I got
He
to
remembers when it was softer.
This has been
So the next episode here. So we went over childhood. So the movie that we're going to watch to go with childhood is actually going to be E.T., the extraterrestrial.
Oh, it's been a
I
while.
have not seen E.T. yet.
Yep.
What?
I have never seen it.
Never
seen
ever.
it.
So
No, I was too busy watching killer robots and aliens that
Johnny
stab.
Five.
I'm kind of excited to watch that.
And short circuit robots.
I don't know if it'd be copyright stuff. It probably would be if we watched one and did a podcast watching, something together.
It'd be tough because I know when I watch movies, if it's one I haven't seen before, I'm fighting whether to keep up with the story or to keep up with my interpretations of things.
I see.
And then
Like a mystery science theater.
I
Yeah.
usually watch it 2 to 3 times. But yes, that will be the next episode. So I know I'm going to have my notebooks, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys, especially coming from a brand new perspective.
Brand new.
Although you never saw Florida Project either, so you're kind of our brand new guy.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that does it for this episode. We'll see you next time for E.T.